Previously on the Fan of History, Damascus was getting the better of Israel in their long war. The Neo-Assyrian Empire finally tries to take control over their western vassals again after a long period of other things. But in the north, in what is today Armenia, the power of Urartu is ever increasing. Okay, we're gonna talk about the events of the 790s BC. I'm just a fan of history, not a real historian, so if you find something wrong, please correct me, give me a source, and I'll learn something. Please watch the video, The Great Civilizations of the World in 800 BC, to get a picture of what's going on in the world. I'm testing a new background for the videos of the 8th century BC. Let me know what you think about it. So, Adad Nirari III is the king of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. It is the strongest state in the Western world. He's the 6th king of the empire, but he's having the problem that the Western vassals are not paying their tributes. He was a warrior king that campaigned most years, but we only have documentation for his Western campaigns and not for the Eastern ones. And this is probably just random. Do you remember the Euboeans? Euboea is the second greatest island in Greece. This is where it all started. This is where Greece came out of the Dark Age into the Archaic Age. And this island, the city of Chalcis and the city of Eritrea, or maybe Lefkandi, we'll talk more about that later. They are the two main cities of the Greek world. There is a colony already in Syria, in Almina. The exact dates of the colonies are hard to determine, but we will try to do so. The main episode about Greek colonization will be events of the 730s BC. At this point, the Euboeans are traveling all over the Eastern Mediterranean. They come across the Phoenicians all the time, and they still have peaceful relations with them. One of the colonies that are founded at about this time is Pithecusae at Ischia in the Bay of Naples. This put the Euboeans into contact with the fledgling Etruscans. We still talk about them as the Villanovans. It is unclear when we can talk about the Etruscans, but it is soon. And contact seems to be peaceful and prosperous. So these early Greek colonies are much like the Phoenician colonies, just trading stations. They don't try to take power, they cooperate a lot with local population. But this will soon change. In 799 BC, Adad Nirari III attacked the Medes. This also happened in 800 BC. We don't have any details about this, and of course the Medes will become extremely important later. At this point they might be vassals of the Manians. But they're causing some sort of trouble for the Assyrians. We don't have any more information about this war. In 799 BC, Assyria campaigns against Lucia as well. I have even less information about this. I don't know where Lucia is. If you know where Lucia is, tell me. In 797 BC, Nergal-Eres becomes the governor of Kindanu in Assyria. We met Nergel-Eres before. He made the inscription we discussed in the 809 to 805 BC episode. He is a good example of how nobles are getting extremely powerful in the Neo-Assyrian Empire. They're taking power from the king and putting it in themselves. We have two inscriptions from this guy, Nergel-Eres. You've seen one of them, and they look like royal inscriptions of Adad Nirari III, but they really are not. They are inscriptions trying to put this governor, this powerful noble, into a better light. In the north, Menua is the king of Urartu, and this map is Urartu at a somewhat later stage, but this is the kingdom. Funnily, amusingly, laughingly, strangely, the Assyrians never mention Menua, and he's the most powerful king Urartu has had. And maybe that's because the record is quite bad at this time. but also because nothing really happened in the war. It was a standoff between the Assyrian Empire and Urartu. If they faced each other in battle, in open battle, the Assyrians would always win. But the Urartians are hiding behind high mountains and fortresses, and they are focusing on other things than Assyria. So the southeastern border of Urartu is Lake Urmia, and there they face the Manians as well. So Menua turns his attention to the north, and it's time to seize control of the Aras River valley. If you see Mount Ararat on the map to the upper right, the river that goes northwest from Mount Ararat is the Aras River. It looks like this. And Menua mounts a successful campaign against the mighty land of Erikuaki on the northern slopes of Mount Ararat. And the middle Aras River becomes the northern border of Urartu. This is a rich metalworking district, and the reason to take control of the river is to be able to ship things on it and just protect all the mining going on there. And to control the area, Menua builds Menua City, Menuaburg, Menukinaili. And after successfully pacifying the river valley, having control over this rich district, he turns northwest. And there he chastises the kingdom of Diukuaki. This is in the bend of the upper Euphrates at the Karasu River. If you see the big blue thing on the map here, that's the Euphrates River. So we are now far west of Lake Van. Diukiaki's ruler Utupurshi is forced to cede the cities of Shamshi-Ilu, Suwa and Uru and provide a tribute of gold and silver. And this war of Menua against the northern kingdoms is bad in the long run, because do you still remember what the northern kingdoms protect against? On the steppes in the north there are horse lords, powerful hordes of riders, and they are soon coming. In 798 BC, King Jehoahaz of Israel dies. He was the son of Jehu. He has been ruling for quite a while. He was buried in Samaria, and his son Joash succeeded him. You can see Jehoahaz and Joash here. This mighty fine pictures. So Joash becomes the king of Israel. He inherits the war with Aram Damascus. You see Israel and Aram Damascus bordering each other, fighting constantly. Damascus is winning this war. Remember the great raid of Hazael? Damascus is winning, and Israel is praying for a savior. And will someone please step up and save Israel? Next time we'll talk about the kingdom of Judah for the first time. I have been avoiding that, but now I can't avoid it any further. What I will try to avoid, though, because of discussions in the comments here and the actuality of events, of current events in this area, is the early development of Jewish faith. That is religious history, and I will try to not go into it again as I have before, because Hebrew religion at this point is quite complicated. I think that will steal too much focus from the show. So in 797 BC, Assyria campaigns against Namri. This is to the east, in the foothills of the Sagres mountains. If you look carefully, you'll find Namar there. That's Namri. It's the kingdom of the Chaldeans, who have emigrated from Babylon. And we don't have any details of this campaign. In 796 BC, Adad Nirari III, probably together with his Turtanu, the field marshal, Shamshi-Ilu, the most powerful noble in Assyria, he goes on this campaign, and it is the most important thing that Adad Nirari does. Damascus has been a pain not only to Israel, but also to the Assyrian Empire. It has been a focus of resistance against Assyria. And this time, Assyria invades Damascus. And this is a surprise for Israel. This was exactly what they was praying for. So their savior is Adad Nirari III. It is unclear exactly which year this happened. Most scholars I've read placed it in 796 BC. It is also unclear whether Hazael, the king of Damascus, is dead or not. If he's dead, Damascus is probably ruled by his son Ben-Hadad III. But the Assyrians just talk of the king as Mari, and that doesn't help us, because that's like the Assyrians naming him. So it could be either Hazael or Ben-Hadad. But there's a siege of Damascus, and there's a capture of the city. So Assyria is extremely successful in this war, and Israel pays tribute to Assyria to not have this invasion continue westwards. And this act, the whole war, the crushing of Damascus, changes the balance of power in the west. And we will see the Assyrian Empire have experienced a lot of problems in the upcoming years. So Israel's great enemy is gone, and Assyria cannot replace them. So Israel will have a pretty sweet spot here. King Chuan is the king of the Western Zhou dynasty. He is trying his best. The Gonghi Regency tried to teach him to be a good king of China, but things are turning worse. The lords are reluctant to obey the royal commands, and Western barbarians threaten Zhou China. I have been corrected by my dear friend JPH Snake, who actually speaks Chinese, that the correct pronunciation, I've heard several, is the Zhou dynasty and not anything else. So this is pronounced the Zhou dynasty, and I have said it wrong for 100 videos. I'm just skipping Egypt. You know how confusing Egypt is? Please look at the great civilizations of the world in 800 BC if you want to look at Egypt, because Egypt is a mess. We're still waiting for Pi to save us. Next time we're going to talk about the events of the 790s BC, part 2, Judah. Even though the evidence from archaeology really doesn't support the existence of Judah at this point, it is hard to avoid talking with it. I've jumped through hoops to try to avoid to talk about Judah, but now I can't. These decade reports will be weekly. Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, please subscribe, like and share, that helps me. But there's one more thing you can do to help me. I have launched a Patreon for Fan of History. I'll talk more about that in the events of the 780s BC. But there is a Patreon for Fan of History. If you want to support these videos, the show, the upcoming podcast that we still haven't been able to launch, you can support it through patreon.com. Search patreon.com for Fan of History and you'll learn more. But I'll talk more about this later. Thank you so much for watching, and Fan of History will go on.